Hello, everyone, and my name is Jennifer Love Williams, pronouns she, her. I thank you to join me and my amazing panelists as we kick off Trans Visibility Week. FYI, Trans Visibility Day is March 31st. It's a day that we take to honor and highlight our trans community. This event is sponsored by Reclaim Pride Coalition. Reclaim Pride wants you to always know that Pride, the original Pride, was a riot. Okay? With that being said, let me bring on my amazing panelists as we get this function on the way. First up, I have Kai Peterson. I have next up, I have Jen Jenkins. Last but certainly not least, I have Dee Daggerin.
Hi, everyone. So good to be here. Dee Daggerin.
With that being said, I'm going to let each one of my panelists tell you a little bit about themselves. But before I do, let me give you a little quick bio about myself. As I told you already, my name is Jennifer Love Williams. I am an entertainer and an activist. I am the foundress of the Gen Love Project. I provide welcome home packages to LGBTQ plus people coming home from prisons and jails along the East Coast. I am an organizer with Black and Pink NYC. I'm the head of the Advisory Council for Black and Pink Massachusetts, which is a separate entity. I do work with the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. I am a new board member of Garden State Rainbow Sports. And I am an organizer with Reclaim Pride, Queer Liberation March. I am so sorry about that little stumble. With that being said, let me go right into my guests and let them give you their pronouns and the work that they do. Let me start off with, in pretty much that same order, Kai Peterson.
Hi, my name is Kai Peterson. My pronouns are he and him. I am the executive director. I'm the executive director of Freedom Overground, and we do direct support services for the BIPOC, TGNC, LGBTQIA plus community that is incarcerated. A lot of our services is really just connecting them with the resources they need once they get out to help them get started with their reentry process. We also supply them with a welcome home backpack. So Jennifer's doing her work that way, and I'm doing work in the Dirty South. So we're working in Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and some places in Alabama. I'm also a member of all this. It was all in my head until I got on, but I'm also working with Just Detention International. I'm a board member with them and working on some PREA standards for the people that are incarcerated that are having issues with sexual assaults and things of that nature. Also, I do some community work within my little hometown, basically with the homeless people and anybody that just needs help. And it's not just centered around our community, but I just try to be helpful in whatever areas and ways that I can. And thank you, Jennifer, for having me.
I thank you for being here. Next up, we have Jen Jenkins. Well, Jen J. I apologize.
It's okay. Thanks, Jen Love. Hi, everyone. So I'm policy counsel right now with Legal Aid DC, where we focus on making legislative and policy changes for people experiencing poverty in Washington, DC. I'm also a board member of Whitman Walker Health here in DC, and I am a board member of the National Trans Bar Association. I've also been fortunate to be able to work on and lead legislation, statewide legislation in Hawaii to ensure greater access to gender affirming care, especially for trans women, and also to enact X gender markers on driver's licenses. and a bunch of other legislation that I'm really glad to have been able to work on with folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen J. And next up, we have Dee Dagaran.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dee Dangaran. I use they, them pronouns. I am currently based in Washington, D.C., where I am a litigation and movement lawyering fellow at Rights Behind Bars. At Rights Behind Bars, we sue prisons, jails, and immigration detention centers on behalf of people inside. I have a project focused on trans people in prisons and jails. And in that project, I've been working very closely with Black and Pink Massachusetts and giving advocacy to people who are in Massachusetts prisons and jails. I am currently the co-chair of the National Trans Bar Association, which supports trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming lawyers. And I helped to plan the Transgender Law Institute last year at Lavender Law. And through TLI and through the National Trans Bar Association more broadly, I really hope to focus and bring a spotlight to the issues that trans people experience in marginalized subpopulations of the trans community, which trans lawyers can help through doing, pro se litigation or just becoming more aware of the ways that they can donate and give other supports too. So I think trying to focus on, not just the mainstreaming of transgender people, but the parts of our population that are experiencing most vulnerability and harm is really one of my priorities. I'm so glad that Jennifer Love brought me here and to share space with such amazing activists. And I'm excited for our conversation today. Thanks.
I thank you as well for being here. Okay, audience. I don't think I thanked you guys already, but I want to thank you guys who are tuning in with us in real time. And for those of you who will go back and watch it later on, I hope you enjoy this program that I have in store. This conversation started technically at the end of 2022 when I started noticing through conversation and in workspaces that me as a Black trans woman, I often get to voice my needs, my wants, whether it's heard or not. And I realized I needed to do more with my platform to make sure that my fellow trans siblings also got to have that opportunity. Not saying that they don't, but some do. Some do not, rather. And with that being said, I wanted to do this panel and I wanted to highlight trans men and trans non-binary and transgender non-conforming people who are also a part of the trans umbrella and who are oftentimes overshadowed or overlooked because typically when you hear trans, everybody just naturally puts a trans woman to the word trans, and that's not the case. There is a whole extra set of trans community that is here who are equally as important and as equally damaged and harmed, in some cases possibly even more, as the trans woman. So with that being said, this is how this got there. And in case you didn't get to notice, I also wanted to have the moment to do something for Black History Month. So I get to have my Black History moment and my trans visibility moment. And as a Black trans woman and a business owner myself, I get to celebrate myself during Women's History Month. So with that being said, let me hop right into today's program. Intersectionality. The definition of that would be intersectionality is an analytical framework of understanding how a person's various social and political identities combine to create different modes of discrimination and privilege. Intersectionality identifies multiple factors of advantage and disadvantages. I hope everyone took in that definition. So with that being said, let me go to the first question. I'm trying to get my Oprah/Barbara Walters on. How have your identities as both a person of color, a Black person, and a trans or non-binary gender non-conforming person intersected? And how can people who do not experience these overlapping identities support those who do and have a better understanding of it? Who wants to take on that first? And if you want me to read it again, I will.
I can jump in. I'm scared of awkward silences, so it's a good facilitation move. Also, I'm so sorry to everyone listening, and the dog I'm dog sitting right now is being so
It's okay.
noisy, and I don't know why. So as a Black non-binary femme, I think that I've seen intersectionality work in my life in a couple of ways that I think are worthy of discussing. And it's really feeling like in the trans and LGBTQ community more broadly, feeling like my race makes me other, and feeling like in the Black community, sometimes my gender might make me seem either, if not other, then kind of something to be gawked at and kind of inspected. And I think that people have learned not to do that and kind of peppering with questions about my race in the LGBT community. But sometimes I found that in the Black community, it's like there's just so much education still to be done on non-binarism that I end up being if not a spectacle, then at least like teacher mode all the time. And so in that can make for difficult social interactions, or it just means that we have to bring people up and educate on our identity so that we can get past that and then do the actual work that we're trying to do in that organizing space when we're together. And then I would say that at times it has meant walking into spaces and having my full self not be fully understood by my work colleagues. So if I'm in an LGBT organization, for example, having my Blackness and the way that I'm trying to center racial issues in the work that I do, or other kinds of class issues in the work that I do, is something that I have to kind of be a louder, more outspoken person about, because often you have LGBT lawyers who are really focused on kind of a spotlight or kind of tunnel vision way on not bringing in intersectionality. And so pushing the legal field to do that is something that I'm really proud to be part of those lawyers who are starting to do that now. And it takes a lot of effort and intention.
I thank you for sharing that. Jen, Kai, or do you want me guys to just call on you? So we just go with Kai.
I was gonna go, but I was on mute, and then I looked down and I seen it. But so I would say for me, I'm in like I said when I was introducing myself, I'm in the South, so being Black and where I'm from, it's already hard enough to just be Black, honestly. But when you combine that with being trans, it's a whole nother thing, because people from here are so used to things being a certain way, and anything that is different and that they don't necessarily understand or want to understand, they're going to be very resistant. They're going to find some kind of fault, and I've had a lot of instances at jobs in different places to where not only did my race play a role in me losing my job, but also by me being trans and refusing to use a women's restroom because I'm not a woman. I identify as a trans man. This is how I filled out all of my paperwork, and this is how I present myself. So I would like to be respected as anyone else. And a lot of times, I just don't normally get the respect that is due to me as a Black trans man, but I always try to be respectful of other people. But when it comes to intersectionality between being Black, being trans, and also, which I'm just going to throw this in there. Also, I like to add the fact, having a criminal record, that also plays a part in it, because it's so many things that make each and every person, unique and individual. And it's like when all of those things combine to make that one person, or all those things are combined and you have this one person, people will tend to pick out little things, and that will be a problem. Oh, well, all trans people are this, all trans people are that. You can't put everybody in a box and expect for there not to be any resistance from us or anybody speaking up, because we're not all the same. We don't all face the same struggles, but at the same time, when you put our race and then our gender identity and expressions, when you put that together, then what do you really have? You have a unique individual that could be non-conforming, that could, identify as a trans man or a trans woman, or, whatever they prefer. I hope I was able to answer your question, because I feel like I just got to talking a lot.
No, that's what I want. I need to know what you feel inside. All of you guys, I'm thankful for you guys to share and be vulnerable with me and the audience and allow this to be documented, because oftentimes we sit here and the media and platforms, they're choosing a certain kind of person that feeds into the way they want to present a trans person, and I get a little frustrated because people get up here and they speak for the whole community instead of speaking for self. And with that being said, I'll get to that a little later on. But with that being said, let me go ahead and let Jen J tell us their feelings. Or do you need me to read the question again, or you got it?
I think I got it, and thanks to Dee and Kai. Very well said. Agreed. I think for me, like I feel here in DC, I feel pretty like my Blackness feels like the most validated it's felt in a while. So I feel great in that. But then, yeah, I think when you layer on, when I see the layer of being trans non-binary, and then depending on how like a person is perceiving me, that's when I get treated like I've seen people perceive me as a cis man and then decide that I was a cis woman, like within like a span of 5 minutes, and just like the way I'm treated and like watching people do mental gymnastics around like my presentation it definitely is noticeable to me. And then I notice like within myself feeling the need to perform what I know people will respond to as more like masculine. And that's just not my whole self. Like I definitely have masculinity, and I also have femininity, and it's just like that's just who I am. And I embrace myself, but it's just like getting people to I've been trying to let people like experience me, and to not teach as much, but yeah, I find that like people just really are stuck with even if you're trans, you're only one or the other, and you just can't be anything outside of that. But I also am kind of optimistic because I see shifts. Well, especially with people, I live in an apartment building. My neighbors and like even the office staff, everyone's like kind of catching on. Like when they do make mistakes, they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just," they're like, "I'm really trying." And those like small efforts lets me know that the efforts that we're making, like as a community, as a trans community, especially during like these really difficult, challenging times, do work. People do pick up on it. It just you don't always get to see those moments.
Thank you. All three of you brought us some amazing points. And I hope that the public gets to truly take in what you guys just said. Well, let me correct myself, not what you guys said, what you folks just said. Because in recent times, there's a lot of people of the LGBT community who are speaking on trans issues who are not even trans people, instead of taking that platform or that moment to bring on a person, a trans folk, to have them speak. That's like having a white person sitting up here trying to speak on a Black person's struggle. And it's not the same, right? People transition to be become trans men or trans women or trans man or trans woman due to whatever their personal reasons would be. Some do it because of peer pressure, some do it because they follow in the gang, some do it because they were sex workers, or this is how they feel it at this moment. Some find themselves later on in life. Some of us, such as myself, I always knew that I was meant to be a girl, even as a child, and I'm a 70s baby. So there was no seeing me on TV. Bitch, I barely saw black people on TV. Right? And then I sit here, and even as a trans person who is a trans woman, who I am conformed, but I also would be trans femme because I am feminine. I've always been feminine, if nothing else. Right? I also know that I can't sit here and speak for a trans man. I can't speak for a non-binary or a non-conforming person. So I always want to make sure that I have my circle where I can always take that moment to say, hey, you need me. I have some more siblings that I need to be here with me so we can properly give a better understanding of the trans umbrella. And even for the public who's watching and you see a trans woman, a trans man, and two non-binary, non-conforming people, understand there is still more makeups out here besides us four. So don't ever think people are so pigeonholed in their head that you need to define a person and who they are. And that's not the case. Understand something. The same way you have two identical twins and they want to have their own personalities, their own makeups, right? Allow us to do that same thing. Me define me. As a grown adult defining myself is none of your business. You should not be that invested into defining me. If I say I'm a cat, dog, and mouse all in one, respect that. If not, just stay away from me. Just that simple. Before I go off on a tangent over here, let me just go to the next question. Next question. Would any of you like to share any specific examples, either positive or negative, experiences that you've seen or heard about relating to the intersection of your Blackness and your gender non-conforming, non-binary identities? If you don't mind taking the time out to share that extra layer of vulnerability. Let me start with Kylie. You're muted, babe.
Hold on. All right, there we go. I need to move that mouse off of that. I'm going to be completely honest right now. I could say the moment where my transness and my Blackness was a great experience for me. The first time I was ever invited out and I seen it was other people just like me. I had just came home from prison, and it's one of those things where it's like I wasn't expecting it to happen, but I was invited to BGR, Black Girls Rule, for the first time, and seeing other people just like myself, like it felt so good because for a long time I just felt like it was just me. I didn't know that it was other people, that have faced some of the same struggles I faced, that that know what it feels like to be around, surrounded by so many people, yet feel so alone and like it's just you. And being at BGR that very first time, I met so many amazing people and formed so many friendships, and it was just nothing but Black trans people. Some of the individuals there, are trans women, some were trans men, and some, I would say are gender non-conforming. So they use, the pronouns they and them. But I met a lot of great people and I really enjoyed myself. And that was the first time that I could say being Black and being trans, really worked in my favor. And that's just me, being completely honest. And since that time, I've, taken, every opportunity that they have presented to me to, if they have something going on, I want to be a part of it, because they made me feel that love, and it was nothing but like family. And to this day, I still, text and talk to them. Maybe not every day, but, it was a bond that was built around our Blackness and our transness and just, the struggles that we face, because they have faced some of those same struggles. So that was just beautiful to me how that just came together.
I thank you for sharing. I'm gonna let Jen J go next, if you want to.
Sure. I'll just share an experience that I had in New York City. I was there. I think I was doing canvassing with the Audre Lorde Project, and I just had never been in such like an affirming space in terms of being non-binary and Black, and like just we didn't even. It was like psychic. Like we didn't even have to. It wasn't because you know you go into a space usually, and it's like you have to. What are your pronouns? And like you have stickers, and at the Audre Lorde Project, we just knew we saw each other. I really clearly it was a very clear example of being like seen and seeing other people who you don't see any mental gymnastics. You just truly feel like the love of another trans or non-binary or however you gender non-conforming, however you defined yourself. And that was intentional. It was a space that was created explicitly for folks like us. And I felt that, and it just, I was like, I need and want more of this. And it was just a huge shift in my thinking.
Thanks. D, take it away.
Yeah, this has all been so positive. I love it. I had a pretty similar experience, and it was actually funny enough, before I realized I was non-binary, and this is maybe to show more of my experience as a non-binary person, for a long time, the only understanding I had of trans identity was a binaristic trans identity. Growing up in Hawaii, I'm Filipino Black, and we had a word, bakla, which is a Filipino word for like a gender non-conforming person who's assigned male at birth, though it can also be used for assigned female at birth. And it was a slur, it was derogatory, just like mahu, which is a Hawaiian word for kind of a similar gender non-conforming third gender category. It was mahu wahine, mahu kane, mahu wahine being someone assigned male at birth, and mahu kane assigned female at birth. But these terms never felt like mine because I felt like I was myself, right? I didn't think I needed to change who I was. In college, in senior year, I was doing research at an organization that had a really beautifully led safe space for trans people that they welcomed me into. I was kind of doing participant observation as an anthropology student, and it was led by another ally who now actually is a Black non-binary person as well. But this trans group of elders, really, and community members in San Francisco brought me in and just shared so much about their identities and their experiences. And it felt like the most inclusive space because there were different forms of trans people there. You had some non-binary people, trans women and trans men, and it was mostly Black. And I had, coming from Hawaii, they affiliated me with Janet Mock, and they would call me Janet as their kind of resident Hawaiian person from Hawaii. And later I was able to interview Janet for a panel, again, still not identifying as trans, but feeling so close after reading Redefining Realness, feeling so close to her story and knowing some of the places in Hawaii that she walked through. And so I think being able to support people who don't know what their identity is yet, but making that community because you know that based on your race and based on your lived experiences as a person who is queer, that you want to bring them in, that can help people explore their own gender identity. So I kind of had this constant test on myself, like, am I a trans woman? Reading Janet Mock's book or going to this group and asking myself that question and feeling like the answer was no. It really took this kind of forced moment when some friends were taking photos for graduation and created like a boys photo, girls photo. And I was like, why the fuck, sorry, pardon my French, why would we do that? Like, why would we bring that social construct into our space that's been so sacred? Our friend group has never been divided by gender. And they said, D, you can be in both pictures if that's your issue. I was like, no, it's the fact that we're doing it at all. Like I felt a visceral reaction against it. And that was kind of the start of my non-binary journey, realizing that I wanted my gender to not be forced into either box. And so that turned into a very positive experience, but it was a very negative one whenever I'm kind of forced to choose between two bathrooms or choose between two groups that are gender based. That's when I feel a lot of dysphoria. It's not when I just, I shouldn't even say that yet, but I think that those moments happen really structurally, and it's rare that I get to find moments of gender euphoria and have that bliss like I did in that group where I was not forced to define myself, define my gender in order to be part of it. But it was just so welcoming, and all of us were sharing so personal experiences. And so, yeah, I think creating safe spaces like that is now one of my goals, to make sure that we have community dialogues where people can talk about, either just decompress and talk about their day or talk about their gender journey as much as they want to, because I really do think that it's infectious in a way that it can spread joy and spread gender euphoria.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, guys. Thank you, folks. Rather, let me give everybody a little fun tidbit. The first non-binary person that I actually met who actually used the pronouns of them, they, is Jen J. We met in DC. They had just graduated from got their law degree, and I was celebrating my birthday. This is my first time being in that kind of a queer space that was not about doing a show, about doing a pageant. It was positive. It was motivating. We were there for the National LGBTQ criminal justice, HIV criminal justice working group, and that moment in time is when my life actually changed. And then a few months later, I went to my first Creating Change, and that was 2020's Creating Change. And I'm so sorry. Sorry, everybody. And everything, I wanted to participate in everything Black and everything trans, because I still thought there was so much more that I needed to learn, not just about myself, but about my siblings. And this is when it comes to, because there's a lot of ignorance within our own trans community, within our own LGBT community, as well as within our own Black community, right? And at that moment in time, I was so intrigued by watching so many trans folk speak with purpose and intent that was uplifting and empowering. More importantly, I got to meet a host of them theys, she theys, he theys, and my first Zer. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I did. And I was just so in awe, and I was able to ask so many questions, take my blonde wig off, and literally answer so many questions, because not only am I also trans, I'm trans, and I'm a whole different generation. Like I said, I'm a 70s baby. I'm Gen X. So this is like millennials and Gen Zs, and that are giving me such insightfulness. And I'm still in awe of so many people who finally can define themselves. And listening to you three and the countless others whom I have gotten to meet and got to see, and it's just comfortable, and it's sad that we've gotten to this point. Okay, before I get that deep, let me clarify something to you, the public. We have always been here, including the non-binary, non-conforming factor, trans men, trans women, trans femme, trans masculine. They have always, well, not they, we have always been here. The difference between then and now is that back then you forced us to hide and you forced us to construct to what you needed us to be into the nighttime. But those days have changed. I worked too hard and they have worked too hard, and many others who have lived too daggone hard to sit here and have to stay hidden to suit you. Okay, so always know that trans folks of all the umbrella have been here in some of the most impactful moments in life since the beginning of time, before the liar of Christopher Columbus even existed. So don't ever be that delusional.
Jennifer, can I jump in?
Sure.
Because that just reminded me of my favorite resource, which will hopefully be dropped in the chat just now. Because you're right, like pre-colonization, there were different forms and understandings of genders around the world that we've just lost, or in some ways we've lost, in other ways we were trying to refine, in some ways have been there the whole time. But the binary is just so hegemonic, right? It's so oppressive and forced on us that we forgot. And so trying to discover this again through resources like this PBS one, I learned about that right after I became non-binary in 2015. And it was so cool to see that this has existed around the world in ways that I could just research now and I could learn more about. And it's just really exciting knowing that we are a part of a long history that predates the binary, that we really are the future's ancestors, right? But like we are on the shoulders of some amazing ways of experiencing, understanding gender.
And you know the crazy thing is, some of this knowledge of the past has always been here, so to speak, but we wouldn't have never really known to look for it, right? The world seeming happy as long as we stayed in their confinement. They do not like for trans folks, the rest of the queer community, to understand self, to be confident and be proud of themselves. And let me tell to my Black community, we are an oppressed race, culture, however you want to put it. I need you to get it together and stop being so oppressive of the queer community, especially when they look like you. If you think for a second that we're protected, we are not. We are not protected by the rest of the queer community, and we are sure enough not protected by you as the Black community. And that is sad, because when I fight, period. When I help a person, I help a human. And to have my own kind do the most damage to me, it sucks. When a white person does me damage, and I'm not racist by none, I can take it on the chin better. That's not me, but you are me, and it sucks. We have always been here, like I said. Get it together. Stop focusing on what's so different and focus on what you have in common. And the one thing that we have in common is that we're Black. Many shades, but we're Black. Get it together. When you sit there and you're willing to go public and hurt me or any trans person or any LGBTQ plus person, understand it's coming right behind to get you too. At this current day and time, you are seeing voter rights suppression being done. And that's mainly done to make sure Blacks lose their voting power. And half y'all don't even want to go vote. For what reasons, I have no clue that you don't want to go vote. Then you sit here, women who were not being supportive. You done sat there and let them take your basic rights to your own body away. So when they gun for an LGBTQ and then another thing is, the rest of the everything but the T. Understand something. If they attack one section of the group, they're ultimately going to gun for the rest. Don't ever be that delusional to think, oh, they just want to rectify and eradicate the trans folk. They're coming for you too. Started making trans folks, now they're even adding on drag queens, and drag queens is not even a person, that's art. That everybody who does is not even queer, but you're willing to eradicate that. In less than 2 years, we have watched so many things that right before I was born, blacks ain't had the right to vote that long. Women, you ain't had the right to vote that long, let alone control yourselves. And clearly, the LGBTQ plus community, we ain't been able to have the center stage to be counted for that long. And just that quick, in 2 years, I watched so many laws come into effect. That's dismantling all of that. Every marginalized group, you're not better than the next. Band together. Get out there and vote. Be heard. Be seen. Focus on what you have in common, not what divides you. That's the only way this is going to be. We are the United States of America, and we are everything but united. Sadly. With that being said, I want to hop into another question. It's not on my question list over here. I was thinking, should I ask it? But I think I'm going to ask it. How important are pronouns? Whichever one you want to answer. I think I'm going to start with D first this time. How important are pronouns to you?
Yeah, I think they're very important. It's like asking someone, how important is your name? How important is giving you respect? It is so important to do everything in your power, put all of your intention to learning someone's pronouns and respecting them, and using them correctly. I have a kind of horror story from a job interview when the person who was interviewing me asked me how to address me after the interview went for about 30 minutes. And my reference letters, I don't know that every one of my professors in the reference letters got it right. I was interviewing with a judge to be his clerk. And he said, when I said, my name is D, I use they, them pronouns. He was like, there's the problem. I can't do that. I will not be using they, them pronouns for you. This is a federal judge. He said, that's asking me to think too much. Just remembering to use they, them pronouns was asking him to think too much, and it would distract him from doing the work. He said, I can call you D, I can call you she or he, but I cannot use they, them pronouns for you. And I swallowed it. I didn't fight in that moment. I was like, well, I'm going to be withdrawing sooner. And then he said, this will not affect my hiring decision. I'm hiring for your ability to do the job and for fit. But it's like, you've already shown your hand. You've already shown me that you don't respect me. How can I trust that you will listen to my opinions or that you'll value me as a person in your office who you care about? And of course, as handing me over to, the people whose job I was interviewing for, his clerks, he instantly called me him as addressing me and turning me over to them, as I was wearing probably a dress like this one. And so I just felt like this is going to be an awful, hostile work environment. And I probably have an employment discrimination claim against him for what happened in that interview. It was so dehumanizing and disrespectful. Doesn't even begin to explain it, right? But to just have someone tell you that your pronoun is not one that they will respect is such a slap in the face. And so I urge everyone to learn people's pronouns and get into a regular practice, even if you have a full cisgender team what you think is a full cisgender team. You don't know if people there might be thinking about using a pronoun that you might not expect, perhaps for, a visibility reason, and perhaps because they have a gender identity they haven't shared with you fully, but they want to start expressing. And I have another example of someone who does LGBT advocacy and said in a meeting, people who use she or they pronouns, like, really, you should think about picking one. And I thought, no, there are some people whose identity is built around the fact that they have she or they or he or they and use multiple. You can't tell someone else what they should do ever. And so if you respect people's agency and respect our identities, you really, really need to respect our pronouns. They're just core to ourself and to our personhood.
I thank you. Kai.
I knew it was going to go to me. I just knew it. I really think is very important, and one of the reasons why I say it's very important is because I have I'm just going to give you a very short version. I was in prison, and I was in a females institution, and I told them I was trans, and that this point in time I was attempting to get HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and I was denied several times. And the actual warden of that prison told me that there is no such thing as a trans man. She told me that she heard of a trans woman, but there's no way that I could be a trans man. It just doesn't exist. So for me, they refused to acknowledge, me being trans until I had to get a whole bunch of other stuff going on just to get them to acknowledge me. And still a lot of the people were resistant. And for me, it made me feel some kind of way because, it was already a pretty rough situation. And then to not have any kind of respect when I'm having to give you respect, but it's not being reciprocated to me. So it really made me, I will say it made me bitter and a little bit angry. But on the flip side of that, being able to, just go out and to present myself as, hey, my name is Kai, my pronouns are he and him. And I've had people ask me about my gender identity and things of that nature. And I have been, completely upfront, but sometimes it's a safety issue in some spaces. And I know I'm not going to say it's more so for the trans women because I can't really speak about something that I don't know personally, but I know that, a lot of times it's safety issues with everything that comes with us as a whole. But one thing that I can say is that when you address a person, it's best to know what their pronouns are. If a person doesn't, mention what their pronouns are, it's a good thing to ask because you never want to, use the wrong pronouns and offend someone because it's hard enough for some people to come out, and it's even harder when they feel as if, they're not going to be respected and no one's going to take them serious. So pronouns are definitely it has to happen and it has to be respected all the way across the board. And if people can't respect, your pronouns, then hey, you don't need them. And that goes for family too, because I've kicked a couple people to the curb. It hurts, but I got to do it until you learn to respect me. Then we can't do this. So.
Yes, I'll get to something you just said, Kai, in a minute. Jen, take it away.
Well, the other panelists nailed it. I agree. Pronouns are important for all the reasons that were named. I'll just say that, like my experience, especially lately, has been that people saying like she and then immediately correcting to they. And like Dee, I'm surrounded a lot of the time by attorneys who are very committed to being precise in their language. So when someone goes to what they assume is my, they're assuming or they're using pronouns about an assumed gender identity with me, it's just almost worse because it's like, oh, so you actually do know what my pronouns are. You're just going to say the incorrect pronoun and then immediately correct, and then that's okay. And it's like, it feels like I'm being tested. Oh, can I get away with saying she, because my face gets all screwed up. I'm like, what are you? Because it's dysphoric and it's like raw. It's just inaccurate. It'd be like someone calling me Bob. It's just who's Bob. And so yeah, it just like it's important, and also like do better.
I echo what you folks have said. I want to touch on something that Kai ended with about that it hurts, and it does, when you have to pull away from people out of respect for self, and that also includes family. There's some trans folk who don't have biological family members in their lives, and for the outside world who see those moments, ask why you don't have your family around, because in some cases, some trans folks were not thrown away. Some trans folks had to choose to throw the others away because of disrespect. Nobody wants to be at family functions. Keep hearing he and dead names and things of that nature. I don't know how people feel about pet names. There was a point in time in my own life when I had to, I don't want to say run away, but I needed to distance myself because it was cringing to the stomach to hear a he, to hear the dead name, or be told that what you're not going to do and what you're not, okay, so what you're telling me is you're not respecting me. So a lot of times trans folks do have to make the best decision to live and to live. Nobody wants to be in the street all day long fighting for visibility, fighting to breathe and live in the free world and come back to the people who are your bloodline, who should always protect you, and have to deal with family dinner being disrespected. and understand it. We know some things don't happen overnight in some cases. Making an effort. You should not be sitting here for 10 months down the line with those sliding in the he's or she or dead names. If you, the first like month or so, I'm around you, I get it. If you're claiming you're making an effort to get it right, to respect a trans person, then do that. Don't do it to just seem proactive and then low key you're not, because 10 months down the line of, oh, my bad, I didn't mean that. No. That's why people don't want to come around certain people. Disrespect. And for the LGBT, but for the rest of the LGBT community, for you guys who don't get it, for those men who have a boyfriend or are attracted to other men, when your family functions you attend, and your uncles and your grandma tell you they're waiting for you to bring home a girlfriend, doesn't that gets annoying? I can't really speak for the bisexuals. I guess you probably wouldn't really care because you like it both. Or the pansexual because you got even more options. But when you know that you only like men as a gay man, or you're a gay woman, you only like women, you don't want to keep hearing about bring a husband home. Go bring me a daughter-in-law. Oh, so now you're gay, I'm never gonna have kids. You know how you feel when you felt that? That's how we feel. Okay? So get it together. Each one teach one. But God dang it, I'm not trying to teach you for 10 months straight how to be respectful. Okay? Some already had touched on this, but I still want to ask the question anyways, just to make sure. Have any of you ever felt discriminated against solely for being trans or non-binary, gender non-conforming?
I think, well, I don't think, I know I have. And this is when I first, well, we're not even going to talk about being inside, because, it's just too much with that. But I can actually talk about one of my first jobs when I came home. Um, and I kind of said something about it a little bit earlier. I remember filling out my application, and then they only had these two boxes, male or female. Um, so I checked male. But the problem was, once I got to my job, I done my interview. I'm looking the same way I look now, and then they had to take a copy of my driver's license, and they read the gender on that, and I guess they looked back at my application, and the lady that was interviewing me, she was like, "Well, ma'am, I mean, okay, what do you want me to call you?" And she said it, and I'm looking at her like, I got it right here in black and white. We're not worried about what this says on this, on this little card. We're not worried about this. What about what I wrote to you guys when I filled this out? And to me, when that happens, it's like they don't have enough common decency to just see us as people. I'm trying to keep my language clean. That's what I'm trying to do right this second. Because
we don't have to. We all grown adults.
Yeah, because it's like they don't have enough. They don't have enough fucking common decency to treat us as people. We're human. Hell with all this other stuff that it's like, oh well, it's only women and it's only men. This trans stuff doesn't. It's just made up. They gotta beat it out you. This didn't happen. It's all of this shit that people they put these labels. Oh well, this is what we already know. Forget everything that you've been taught. It's a whole bunch of. It's brainwash. It's bullshit. Forget all of that. We had something else going on before this. Before what you see now, it was peace, because we didn't have to fight about, oh well, this is who I am and this is this. That's why I love the indigenous teachings, because they knew these people knew. And it's like right now we're living in the United States, it's supposed to be the home of the free and brave and all that other good stuff. It's not. We're divided in every group. No matter if it's the black community, we're divided. Oh, I got a good job. They didn't finish school. They didn't do this. It's so much division. And all of that, it does more harm than it does good. Because you can get a lot more accomplished when you stick together, regardless of your, different backgrounds and, oh, well, this person done this. When you forget about all that and you kind of stick it out together, you can get a whole lot more accomplished. I just wanted to share that.
I thank you. D, Jen, either one want to hop right on in there?
Yeah, just to Kai's last point too, you made me think of the Guevedoches in the Dominican Republic. So it's these islanders who are female at birth, but then throughout, as they grow into adults, they grow penises. And like, I'm not trying to reduce us to body parts, but it's like, not only is it indigenous people who obviously still exist today, but it's like you're just ignoring the reality that our bodies and our spirits and like who we are, like we're looking right at you, and we're here, and it's definitely not anything new. And I think it's just like important to like look at just the facts. And then thinking about how I've been discriminated against because of my transness, I think probably like employment searches is the easiest. And this is an experience that I had right out of law school, where I think during law school, I was like a paid extern at a national trans organization. And it was like an incredible experience. It was amazing. And I used that experience on my applications to work with like judges in Hawaii. And like, I don't even think, and like, I did pretty well in law school. Like I mean, I wasn't number one, but I did okay. I did all right. And like, I don't think I heard back. I heard back from one judge who, was pretty well positioned within the hierarchy of the judiciary, and I'm pretty sure that the only reason they even interviewed me was because they themselves are queer, but they're just not really open. Like nobody knows that, and none of the other judges that I applied to my knowledge, are queer. Were openly queer, and yeah, I just didn't hear like a thanks for applying. And there were other people who got jobs who I did better than in law school. We went to the same law school. And so, yeah, I couldn't help but conclude it was me including that experiencing and then putting my pronouns, in my cover letter and all that.
Thank you, Dee.
Yeah, it's the legal world, whether you're talking behind bars or trying to break through as a non-binary or trans lawyer, is so conservative and so messed up in so many ways. Besides the experience I already shared about, like Jen, I applied to about, like, I want to say 100, a little over 100 or near 100 judges. I had 7 interviews, and the counselors told me that it was weird how many interviews I went to that led to rejections. Like they were like, this is so strange. Like we don't normally see this. One of the judges, another one, was like kind of talking with me about his a trans client that he had, or not client, a trans person that he had adjudicated before, and talking about how she really looked like a woman. Like she really passed. If you saw her, she was so feminine. And it was as if he was like comparing me and saying that I didn't pass as a woman, so he couldn't have a non-binary femme law clerk. Like if I passed better, that it would have worked. And I can't help but think that the interviews, I feel like I interview well. I'm very gregarious, and I think I'm articulate, and I think I did a good job in my interviews. And I think that for the judges who didn't pick me, I just can't help but think that seeing my the lived version of my gender and my race in one go, and thinking about having me for district court judges, this was all district court judges, they have your clerk sitting right next to them, so like you're like a representative of them, and the public sees you're in their eye, in the public eye, as like an extension of the judge. And I couldn't help but feel like it was that the judges couldn't see me as an extension of themselves because I was too different. And again, that's both my race and my gender happening at once. But the other story I want to share is, or not story, just fact, is that it took me forever, like about a year and 2 different professors' interventions to get to get Harvard Law School to change my name from my legal name, dead name, to my preferred name in the email system, which should be a very easy task that was eventually able to happen. But at one point, the dean of students sat with me and she said, we just can't do this because you go to a law school and we have to follow the law, and this is your legal name, and we have to be able to trace you if you send something. Like, I'm sorry, this is what you get for going to a law school that needs to be rule abiding. And I thought that was so stupid. And so they eventually, a trans professor on staff reached out on my behalf when they were emailing me, and they're like, what is happening here? Why can't you do this? And so it took a lot of outside allies really to get that change done for me. And I think that it's a discrimination claim that, students in any university listening should feel like if their university is not changing their name or calling them by their pronouns, that's a Title IX suit. And so Harvard should feel lucky that I didn't try to sue them. And I can't stomach that people put up so many barriers to just treating people like they want to be treated.
I thank you guys for sharing. Clearly I've been discriminated against. I'll give us one of the times, like my first time because of my transness, would be I was working at Home Depot, and I got hired at Home Depot in the beginning of my transition. So like my exterior of anatomy was still kind of flat chested and stuff, but I've always been naturally dainty. Like my nails were like, oh. And I already had gotten to the phase of wearing my extensions and everything else. And I get hired like that because I was qualified, I guess. And then I get on to, this is Home Depot. I get on to Home Depot University, Home Depot Cashier College, and all this other kind of stuff. But the person who hired me ultimately gets fired. And another gentleman, he, I can give a heck about it. His name is Bob Curtis. He was the head of the lumber department. This man hated my existence. I've heard him call me a fag under breath. This man worked me something horrible. And at this moment in time, I don't really have a protection barrier. Plus, they didn't have unions, they have district managers, which they all partied with the store manager and everything together. This man violated the hell out of me after I done fought from another piece of bullshit that happened at Home Depot. Ultimately, at that time with unemployment, thankfully, you didn't do everything electronically. Like, you literally had to go into an unemployment office and literally sit there with a clerk to put in unemployment claims. To my surprise, one of the customers that you disrespected me in front of happened to be the clerk. So that was a blessing that ultimately gave me my second situation against Home Depot to make them pay. And there's been a lot of that, but those things people often see here and look at trans folks as being weak. Let me tell you something. You know how it feels to be a Black person in this day and time. Sadly, you're met with many obstacles. Coming out as gay or queer, you're given a second set of obstacles. But when you understand self to the factor that I need to truly live authentically, and so in most cases that extends beyond being just queer, that may identify you as trans or other trans, non-conforming, non-binary, it takes a level of undenying strength that even in your sleep you're still fighting to stay protected and to stay safe. I don't live that comfortably where I'm able to go get me a mansion with a bunch of employees that take care of me because I pay you to. So I still got to interact with the world repeatedly, and you're always going to run into an asshole. And I want to empower my trans siblings. Please don't let no one break your spirits. Don't let no one stop you from shining. Don't you let no one stop you from being the amazing human that you are. Before you're anything else, you are human, and you deserve the right to exist just as much as anyone else. Okay? Take that with y'all, not just for Trans Visibility Week, but period. Tell them Jennifer Love said so. Let me go on to my next question. People talk about allyship to the trans and non-binary community. What does it mean to be a proper ally? And is it useful? Is it a useful concept at all?
All right, I think I'll go. See, ally. That's one of those words because it's like, yeah, we need allies, but what does that really mean? Like, what does that look like? To me, an ally isn't as strong as what it needs to be. I need somebody that's going to stand beside me. That when I'm on my let's go show these folks what's really going on, that they're going to be right there. Okay, whose call we taking? We need people that's going to stand and fight with us, not that are going to be, I'm not even going to say behind the scenes, but more people that's going to be more about action, more about doing it, more about getting results that are going to, go to the sit-ins or the the paper drops and all that, whatever it is that we have going on, they're going to be there. They're going to be supporting it in whatever ways they can, whether it's, giving somebody a ride to a protest, or, helping bond them out, or whatever it is, helping people to get those resources. And also, if, you want to say you're an ally, what are you doing for this community? Like, what are you giving? And it doesn't always have to be money that you're giving, but it could be other resources, different ways for us to support ourselves, or to, get the things that we need to get done. So when it comes to allies, that's, the allies that I've seen so far haven't been what I think an ally should be. It should be a whole lot stronger. We should be burning these streets down. Not literally, but we should be burning these damn streets down with us and our allies, people that are actually showing support, that are actually showing up to these events and these things that we have going on, and that are here to support us, and that want to understand, that want to help us, and that want things to get better for us. Because, like Jennifer said earlier, they don't just take, they don't just pick at, one set group. That's just how it starts. It's always one group, and then it's another group, and then it's another group. The fucking country is at war with the people in the country. That's the whole problem. But I'm not even gonna get into that. But that's the problem. So we need people that's gonna be willing to damn fight for us and be a part of it, and know that we're not trying to cause problems. We just want to live our life. We just want to be at peace. We don't want to fucking struggle. We want to thrive. We want to reach, we want to, the goals and shit that we have, we want to see that happen. But we can't do that if we're continually just being pushed over and overlooked, or being beat and all this other shit. We can never get anything done with that kind of stuff happening. So we need people that are going to support us, that are going to stand with us. If I'm going through this shit, you're going to be going through it with me, because you claim to be an ally. I don't know. That's just how I feel about that one.
Before either one of you folks go, and I said not to read the comments, but I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's SABE. I'm reading it from the Facebook comments, and they say not allies, but accomplices. And then another person, Charles with a K, gives the definition of an ally. And I never really thought about that they are suggesting that instead of allyship, that we use accomplices.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because, allyship is really performative, and you can just say, oh, I donated, and then you're not out in the streets with us. We need a lot more than someone who can just pretend they care. We need people who actually care and are willing to put themselves out, and who are willing to use their privilege to stand up with and for us. That's it.
D?
Yeah, I would just add ally is a noun and a verb. So like Kai was saying, it's like, what are you actually doing? Not just saying it. And I think the people that I've met who, in response to any discussion, right, or any identity group, would say, oh yeah, I'm an ally. It's like, you wouldn't have to say that if you really were. I don't think that the allies that I consider allies would even say I'm an ally for X. Like it seems othering. Like if you're a part of us, if you're part of this, if you're in it, even though it's not your identity, you wouldn't have to say the label ally to feel good about yourself. With that said, one of the best allyship examples I can think of that should be really the bar for anyone else who purports to be an ally. I got a clerkship in DC, the local DC Court of Appeals. And my judge, before I arrived, I remember when I had my interview, the bathrooms were gendered, even though they were single stall, and you needed a swipe card to access it. And so it was programmed for assigned female at birth people who identified as women to be able to access the women's bathroom. And I'm assuming not the men's restrooms. before I got there, before I even raised any issue with this, I learned at the registration period, when I was getting my ID, they were like trying to figure out which one to code me for. They called over to the court, and then turns out they didn't need to worry because my judge, of her own accord, had changed all of the bathrooms in the building to gender neutral bathrooms before I arrived. That is what we need to do. If you want to be an ally for non-binary people, it's not just about the pronouns, which is, again, that's a low bar. That should not even be, that's not a standard. That's just respect. But if you want to say that you're an ally in your workplace or an ally out in the world, it's like, what are you actually doing to make sure that the people who experience this system or structure that you're both a part of can feel as included as possible? It still gets me very emotional thinking about the fact that my future boss, not even current boss, did that for me. And like, true allyship, I think, should make the person feeling supported, like grateful. And it's like, that should have been the expectation, right? But like, we've been so used to having to fight for scraps that we don't even realize what we deserve. And so trying to think about that and think about what trans community could actually get in kind of our like in reach utopia, like what we actually should be living in, if we could just reframe everything that way, I think it'd be a different world.
I thank you. I'm so loving this moment in time, sharing this space with you folks. Let me give another question. What does trans liberation mean to you? Let me start with Jen. Jen J.
Hi. Trans liberation to me is something that can happen right now. And I think that it's really, like, I want to make sure I ground it in the present, because I don't want to think that, like, I don't want us to always think it's in the future. Like, and there are moments I think we experience trans liberation, like some things that we've touched on before. But I think that it's really like a true feeling of security in all the ways, like food secure, your home, your people. We basically don't live under capitalism anymore. We're committed to collectively caring for one another. And like, that's the world that we live in. That's the world that we create. And I'm for burning it all down, but we ease out of what so many folks seem committed to, and we're embraced, like, fully for who we are. We don't have to correct pronouns. I just see, like, such a beautiful world for us, and it's just, like, right up against what we're experiencing right now. So I just want us to take all, like, the steps that we need to get there, and I just think we're gonna feel really good. Like, I think we're at the beach. I don't drink, but, like, we're sipping mimosas, you know what I mean? And when I think about trans liberation too, I also have to acknowledge that, like, I can't fully envision it because, like, I have no idea what's to come. But I do know those feelings that I've had. So.
All right. Kai, what about you?
Okay. I would say anything. I'm just really big on, and I love to say freedom, because to be liberated to me, it would just be a sort of freedom to just live, be myself. I see that as a way of us being in a place. When I say us, I mean the trans community being in a place, in a space, no matter where they are, to where we're not hiding. We can be who we are without fear of any type of, retaliation or violence or anything against us because of who we are. It's just one of those. It's one of those things where it's like, you know what it looks like, but to actually put it into words, sometimes it's a little bit harder, especially for me, because, when I think, and somebody said this to me, it's like, why do you always, everything that, you talk about it, you always have to put something about freedom in it. And the reason why I do that is because for so long, me and Pinky, which she's in the chat, and we fought for so long for my freedom that, to me, I don't want to really talk about or think about anything else, because this is what we fought so hard for. And now I have my freedom, but I also want to be free in every area of my life, and I've said, a few times in life, freedom it's a mind thing, and it is, but I'm free in my mind, but I'm still caged on the outside because of all of these laws that they want to pass, all this other bullshit that they keep piling up on me. I don't want that. I want that weight lifted. And when you say, what does that look like? That's what it look like. All that weight just being lifted. I'm able to look out and see other people just like me, just being happy, just living their life without that constant dread and fear. So it's going to be a joyous moment. You're going to see it. It's going to be a light, because when things are going good and you don't have all that unnecessary stress and bull stuff, when you don't have all that, you have a glow to you. No matter who you are, what color, you have a certain glow. And to see my people glow is what I want. Hell with the rest of it. I want to see us glow. I want to see us just take over some shit. That's what I want to see. I don't know what nobody else wants to see, but that's what I want to see. I want to see us get to a place to where not only did we show y'all, yeah, we deserve to be here. We do exist. All of us are different. You're going to respect us. We're going to give you that respect. The same respect you give to us, we're going to give to you. But guess what? I'm here. That's what I want. So I don't know.
Go ahead, D. Take it away.
Yeah, I echo everything. We're building a really beautiful collective transliberation vision here. I really think it's a world where everyone doesn't need to worry about where their next meal is coming from or about where they're going to sleep. I think that it looks, Jen mentioned security. The word safety comes to mind for me. And like freedom, as Kai just said, I think safety really is in the mind too. Like, I can walk around wherever I've lived feeling safe, even if statistics would say otherwise or local news would say otherwise, because I feel so confident in my ability to de-escalate a situation, remain calm, like be grounded in whoever I'm speaking with, and connect human to human. I think transliberation would mean not feeling, it's not just about, the current people who identify as trans feeling like we can do that freely, safely, securely, but everyone else who has hangups around gender and sexuality, not having to deal with compulsory heterosexuality. Like a transliberation world, a transliberated world would, I don't think, have the idea of straight or cis or trans in it, because people would just be living in what feels right to them freely and the labels wouldn't be there. That's truly what I feel. I do think it would be joyous. And I think that there would be a sense of, I love Plato's cave, the imagery of Plato's cave. Just to quickly summarize, right? Like, imagine that your entire life you were chained facing shadows on a wall and you thought that was your reality. And there's like a little campfire behind you and you don't realize that you're not, turning next to the person next to you and interacting with them, but you're really just like seeing shadows on the wall. To emerge from the cave and see the light outside and get to see real sunlight and trees and birds and water and just all of the sensations that come with being outside of that cave can be overwhelming. It can really throw someone off if they're not ready. So I think there needs to be some gentle education to get people ready for transliberation, because like it really is, liberation takes that effort. It's like it's like a real deep dive and a plunge. And I think that it can happen really joyfully and beautifully and easily, but it takes a lot of people just like unlocking some blocks in their mind that society has put on them. So I agree with Jen that it could happen today if we focus on the communities to lead us there who are already there. And I think that we could prioritize them and make sure that it's kind of the people who are most vulnerable can get what they need right now. And I think the real work is like, it's so much of my realizing my gender was not about my process, but about like the people around me, whether that was friends or family or employers. And it's like, if they could just not get in the way of my freedom and my bliss, I could live so much more easily and happily and live. I feel like I'm so close to trans liberation right now. And it's really like the structural societal issues are the last step. And that will take a little bit more teamwork, and that'll take real accomplices and allyship in the definition that was dropped in the comment thread. It's kind of out of my control, but I can control my personal liberation.
I thank you. When I just think of trans liberation, I like how you guys you folks all worded it. Something you just said though, Dee, is so much more than just, for me, speaking as Jennifer Love, there's so much more that I need for Jennifer just to be able to be in a state of liberation. I need people to stop being obsessed with control of others. I get it. Y'all done stole a lot. Y'all don't think y'all control everything. You get upset when you're not in control. I am a grown woman. And FYI, for any cisgender female who feels threatened by me calling myself a woman or stating that I am a woman, sweetheart, you should not be. I am not you. You are not me. I am a woman, a black woman of trans experience. No, I am not you, nor am I trying to take from you your womanhood. I may not ever be a female regardless of what my markers say, because the definition that you keep trying to describe yourself as, and I watch some other trans folks get on public platforms and say that, understand something. A woman is a woman, or a man for that factor, understand something. If that is the case, if I'm sitting up here saying I'm a female, then you get upset. Then you feel I'm taking your birthright away. Because that's what you're born, a female. You're not born a woman. You got to grow into womanhood, and I grew into womanhood respectfully. Nor am I taking your space. I'm not trying to take your space. I'm not trying to out sass you, out smart you, out anything other than me just live as me being me. I can't speak for no one else. I can just speak for me. I fought hard to be the woman that I am. And I respect everyone who respects me. If you do not respect me, we'll just be some disrespectful motherfuckers with each other, okay? But back to liberation. When it comes to liberation, it's hard in this day and time, not just for me to have trans liberation. I'm Black first and foremost. I need to feel liberated as a Black person. I need to feel liberated as a Black trans person. I need to feel liberated as my parents' daughter. I need to feel liberated as myself, in my own mental, in my own heart. Knowing that it's okay for me to even speak for others, in my accomplice, my days and time and acts of an accomplice for others. I need those who want to help me get to liberation. As Kai stated earlier in this program, doesn't have to be financial. Sharing a flyer, speaking my name with positivity, informing the next person of the good work that I do and what my grassroots trans-led organization does, or the organizations that I'm affiliated with, to help us all service the people that we service. That's the allyship. What's coming, or the allyship, and being an accomplice. Those things help any person get to liberation. I want to be able to go to sleep as a formerly incarcerated person and not have to put the alarms on my house while I'm in my home, because I have moments and times I may watch a movie and it may happen to have a prison scene, and the next thing I know, for the next damn week, I can't sleep because I'm thinking about being run back on, having flashbacks of being in prison again. These are the things. There's so many things that I hope that one day I will get to a liberated state. And then in the meantime, because I may not never get there, but I damn sure got to do my part to make sure so many others get there. Okay? And I think for me, before I can get to, I think the most liberated thing I need is liberation of the mind. I know that there's so many dangers, and it shouldn't be, because I bother no one. I bother no one. My trans existence bother no one. None of our trans existence, nobody else's trans existence should bother no one else. Nobody should have to be fearful because we're trans, because we're formerly incarcerated, because we're Black, because you may be Muslim, you may be a woman, you may be undocumented. None of it is okay to oppress someone. Everyone deserves the right to feel liberated, to feel free. Everybody deserves the right to live and not have to worry about the struggles of being homeless. I'm not talking about a national disaster, Mother Nature coming in here and shaking up the room. I'm not talking about that. I'm sorry, piece of damn hair just touching me won't leave me alone. But to have that state of comfortability, not just within self, but having a stable roof over your head, being able to have a steady set of meals coming in. It may not be filet mignon, it may have to be skirt steak. Shit, it may be fucking two McDonald's burgers each night before you go to bed, make sure your belly is full, but you know it's consistent. Any little thing helps. Speaking and saying someone in the morning and just saying hello, have a great day. All those little things make a person smile and start to, there's possibly hope. Oh, I'm about to say, what the hell bathroom got to do? Okay. Let me take a quick pause before I throw out one final question at least. Folks, we are here. This program is presented by me, but it's presented by and sponsored by RPC, because we claim Pride Coalition. We are corporate, and we are anti-police. We put on the Queer Liberation March that will take place during the corporate march. It is not about the glitz and the glam. It's about speaking up, being heard, being present. If you are watching, you should be in the chats. It's going to be June 25th, 2023, Pride Sunday. Please, if you are a marginalized group, no matter what your marginalization may be out there in the front line with us, walk with us, chant with us, be present with us, be vocal with us, be seen and be heard most and foremost. It's not about being in glitz and glam and getting on getting on the news networks and being all pretty, because that's what I used to think myself. And I've been amazingly had those moments, but to have this space and to be in this space with queer and other marginalized people, being unified, being together, being human is a beautiful thing. So my trans siblings, if you're going to be in NYC for Pride weekend, especially Pride Sunday, Be present with us. Follow us on IG, follow us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. You will get the starting point for our march and be able to be present with us for all that is splendid in RPC, in the Queer Liberation March. My trans siblings, drag queens. Sorry, I don't mean to say drag queens. I take that back. Drag artists. Please come out, show out, be present. Feminist, clearly, the rest of the LGBT community, be present, be vocal, be seen, be heard. Be present June 25th, 2023. Okay? With that being said, I want to let my guests get the love that they deserve. For each of you guys, each of you folks, please put your Cash Apps, Venmos, PayPals, your Zelles in the private chat so we can transfer it to the public comments, as well as I'm going to call on each one of you guys. Please not only tell the work that you do, but also plug your orgs and your place of business that we want the world to see, to know, and to always look into as this continues to run. With that being said, who wants to go first? Before I call on y'all myself. Let me go with Kai. Kai seems kind of ready. Take it away.
Okay. I feel like I'm always being called on, like that one kid in school that's always being called on. Okay. All right. I don't even remember the question because I'm smiling too much. This new job has got me smiling so much. I can't stop. My cheeks hurt. Just, Jennifer, one more time. Just let me know what you want me to say. Because I'm thinking you said talk about a little bit about what I do with my org, right?
What you do, your web pages, your websites, your Instagram handles. This is the moment I want each and every one of you guys, you folks, to promote yourself and the work that you do. So our audience now and who will watch later will know where to find you, shout you out, support you, donate to you and your causes, and let's get the ball rolling, especially for those who are watching now and later on. This is how you can be an accomplice.
Okay. All right. So everything is going to be found on our website at freedomoverground.org. You go to freedomoverground.org. It gives you all the information you need. It tells you different ways that you can help support. It tells you about the different partnerships, programs that we have, different resources. And there's actually a form that you can fill out on our webpage to actually book me for speaking events or interviews or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of different, you have a lot of different options going to the website. And it also has all of our, anything that you can find us, any of our other social links should also be posted on our website. So again, that website is freedomoverground.org. You can go there. You can request information. If you have a family member, friend, or anyone that is incarcerated that needs support, or that just want a little bit of information about what we do, or just see what their options are, you can always send me their information. I will reach out to them, and it's not a big thing because I enjoy to talk, as you guys see. I love to talk. So if a person, reaches out to me and asks for help, I will respond back. And whatever it is that we're able to do, I will be glad to do it. And I just hope that all the people that have tuned in, will actually try to connect with these different organizations, and not just Freedom Overground, but with each person that is on this panel, because there is so much information and just knowledge that could be shared, and I'm pretty sure it's a whole lot of resources also. So I just urge you guys to just ask questions, try to reach out to people and try to see what it is that you can do to as Jennifer said, become an ally and an accomplice, because we need the support from the community. A lot of the work that we do, it can't be done, without, and like I said before, it's not necessarily about money. A lot of times, it's those resources. But to be completely honest, it takes money to get stuff done sometimes. To, be able to provide these care packages and to do other things that we're doing. Sometimes it does take some money, but other times it could just be those resources, or just sharing the information that you have so that we're able to share it with the other members of this community. Jennifer, I hope that was what you wanted from me, because I'm just trying to keep myself from smiling right now.
Yes. Now on your on the Freedom Overground. Hold on. FreedomOverground.org. They can go to that page and make a donation as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Y'all heard that? Once again, that's freedomoverground.org. Next, D, take it away.
Yes. So as I said before, I collaborate with Black and Pink Massachusetts. In my work, I would recommend people donate to them. They do pen pal and other forms of abolitionist advocacy and support, and it's been really cool to be part of it. If you're interested in supporting my work as a lawyer and helping people across the country, rightsbehindbars.org, you can learn more. And there's the address if you have any loved ones on the inside, or if you know of anyone who is incarcerated and needs support with their civil claims, you can have them reach out to us for assistance. And if we can't take the case, we can try to refer it on. We're kind of in a network of other prison litigators. A lot of I think, I forget the exact percentage, but over 90% of civil rights claims from people inside are filed pro se, filed on their own. And people can do a really good job. And it's also really important to have support when they need it and want it. So we're one of those orgs. That's rightsbehindbars.org. And if you or anyone is interested in organizing with trans lawyers, you can reach out to the Trans Bar Association, either emailing us at info@transbar.org if you want to collaborate, if you want to learn about the trans people near you who are lawyers and who could be involved, or just look at our website, transbar.org, if you want to learn about the board and what we do. And again, reach out to collaborate on anything else. Thank you again for listening in and for having me on this panel.
Thank you for being here. Last but not least, Double J. Jen J.
Thanks, Jen Love. And sorry, my dogs have been acting up in this call. The organization that I work for right now isn't trans led, but I mean, it's a great organization that helps poor folks. But I think if you want to send your money somewhere, I'm a member of an organization here called Harriet's Wildest Dreams, and they've done a really great job of abolitionist organizing here in DC. And I really appreciate their work. And we have a Black trans brunch coming up this weekend. So if you want to support grassroots organizing, abolitionist organizing, and Black trans folks, please donate to that organization. And then if you are in a state where there's legislation happening that is violent towards our community, please stand up against it. Call, even if you aren't in a state, call another state and say, this shouldn't be law, because what's happening right now is really scary, especially for trans youth. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. I guess it's been this little hot moment. Clearly, any donations, I'm always gonna have to plug my own org. genloveproject.org. And if you're choosing not to donate to Minds, my personal gratitude, which my physical sponsor is Black and Pink anyways. You can also make a donation to Black and Pink NYC. I work with Massachusetts already, so they're already up there. And a baby org that I am, like I told you earlier, a newly board member for is Garden State Rainbow Sports. So if you can make a donation to them, that even would be great. Remember, it's not about how much you make. Of course, if you can afford to make big donations, that's like amazing. But if you can't, and you become a recurring $5 donor, guess what? That 5 times 12, trust me, it makes something happen. And last but not least, the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. So that's all the work that I do. And I thank you guys once again, folks, once again, for sharing this space with me, being vulnerable and letting me keep you way past the time I told you I would. I am so blessed to be here and to share this space with you guys. And I want to say thank you to every single trans person, however the umbrella they may be, then and now, who precede us. Because of you guys, we are here, and we are here and able to do this and are that much more comfortable within ourselves to be vocal about ourselves. And I hope that we're doing just for the generations after us, as well as to all the amazing Black ancestors and predecessors that precede us as well. The same goes to you, to our parents, to whoever helped raise us, blood or not, the families that uplift us, to my loves, to my family. I thank you guys all. Because of you, I am here, and I must admit, the expectancy for a Black trans woman is 35, and I'm 46. In like 2 months, I'm about to be 47, even though I look like I'm still in my 30s. It is due to my family. They get on my nerves a lot of the time. I know that they protect me, and I'm able to move and feel comfortable and feel free. And because they protect me and my loves, they've been here. As one of them is in the chat. He's my BFF. I call him my other half. We are not lovers. He's been by my side since the day we met, and we were 18. And we're still together, unintimately. down to the babies. I thank you guys all. I thank everyone who aligned the universe to have these 3 amazing humans be present with me, and watch out for the work that they're doing. Be supportive and be uplifting. And for anyone in the comments, you have now ways to reach them. So if you want to continue this conversation on or add them to your conversation, by all means, they are available for all educational purposes. I don't know about the other purposes. You got to talk with them about that privately. I thank you guys, and happy Trans Visibility Week. Understand, the best way of part of our liberation is to be visible, because we got a proper younger trans folks coming after us who need to see that people for us to be here, and we're fighting now for you to be there. With that being said, I love you guys. Thank you, RPC, for allowing me to have this moment. And I thank you guys for being here with me. I thank you guys for tuning in, who all tuned in during real time. And for those who will go back to watch it later on, I thank you. Be blessed, be great. And remember, the best thing that you could ever be is be an amazing freaking human being. Okay? Love you.